All the news about that storm coming up next right here.
Residents found when they got up this morning. A storm had raced through the Twin Cities, causing quite a bit of damage.
And they damaged houses. They blew plate glass windows out of Minneapolis skywalks, and they knocked down power lines, leaving thousands of people without electricity. All in all, a bad morning, but I guess we can say good afternoon. I'm Stan Turner.
And I'm Kirsten Lindquist, and thank you for joining us. In a moment, we'll tell you about efforts to restore that lost power, but first we want to show you exactly what 70-mile-an-hour winds can do. This is North Minneapolis. The streets are a maze of downed trees and power lines, and in each block there's a story to tell. Don Anderson says he was asleep when it started.
Next thing I knew, there was just a wall of wind and water came at the house, and I couldn't even see outdoors to see what had happened.
Well, this is what he saw. A tree in his yard fell on his van, also his camping trailer, and then it hit his house. That can be obviously very frightening.
Our neighborhood gas station here kind of has a severe tilt to its canopy at the moment, and down the street we got a VFW that lost most of its roof. Yeah, it's total.
John Baldwin was getting ready to go fishing around 5 this morning. When the rain and the wind picked up, he went inside. A short time later, he came out to find this, the van he'd been loading, pinned under a tree.
Back of the van got smashed down to about 2 foot tall, 3 foot tall. And
First started raining, Sam Abarame was worried about whether he had remembered to roll his car windows up or not. But soon, that was the least of his worries. Watch his reaction as he hears the canopy ripping from its base. Sam immediately got on the phone with the owner, but his problems were just beginning. The wind had ripped part of the roof off too, and soon he and another employee had to try and stop the rain from drenching all the equipment.
What's going through your mind?
Hell broke loose, I guess. I don't know. It was terrible. I was afraid.
And there was good reason to be afraid. Here's what the roof looked like from the outside. Now, just down the street, Taco Bell had its bell rung, and on North Washington, the huge canopy in front of this holiday store had blown against the building. The wind bent the metal supports as if they were tinfoil. Scott Carlston was driving in to open up for the day when he saw the damage.
Had looked twice, didn't know what had happened. We've seen it moving before, we didn't know if it would ever blow over, but now we know.
They sure do know. The owner says that could cost them more than $10,000 to replace the canopy you just saw. Now let's look at some of the businesses affected here in North Minneapolis. Just wait till you see what happened to all the trees. Trees were downed all over the area, crushing everything that fell in their way. Now Jennifer Freeman, she's a resident. She didn't need an alarm to wake her up this morning. A tree slammed into her second floor window, knocking her air conditioner onto the floor and narrowly missing her.
I was just totally amazed. I thought I was in a movie or something. I expected something to come through the window and grab me as like poltergeist or something.
Now, another prime target was cars and trucks. Bernice Newstrom of Northeast Minneapolis was supposed to leave with her husband on a trip up north this morning, but her truck was taken out of service.
He ran upstairs to close the windows upstairs, and he must have looked out the window and he came downstairs and he said, "My truck is gone. There goes your trip, Bernice."
Poor Bernice. Can you imagine it? Well, there is some comfort, Bernice, because you're not alone. A lot of people and businesses were affected by this storm. In fact, as our crews were trying to go north on Lindale here, we had to be detoured several times because there are too many trees in the road.
Jeff, it's amazing. Despite all that, once again, Jeff, no injuries in that area.
No injuries. It's incredible.
In the meantime, all this precipitation, of course, has moved on. The good news is that high pressure is on the way. It's already here giving us drier air.
Campus, John?
Well, I'll tell you, scenes like this were evident all across the metro area today. Let me show you something here. You can get a good deal on a Renault Alliance if you know the owner. This car was essentially crushed by this massive elm tree that fell here in Dinkytown. Now, neighbors in the area awoke to howling winds this morning. They said the sky turned shades of green and purple, and that was 3:30 a.m. And some of those folks are still without power tonight. In Dinkytown, residents got out early this morning to survey the damage. Huge trees uprooted by driving winds had virtually buried some cars in debris. Stephen Hughes said the storm woke him about 3 o'clock.
All of a sudden I heard a big pow, and next thing you know, I come outside this morning, look up, and there's that tree.
Some intersections were so clogged with trees and other debris that motorists had to back up and find ways around storm-ravaged areas. Power was out to a large section of Minneapolis. Near the University of Minnesota, the tub laundromat was dark, with owner Tim Koselik disappointed by the timing of the storm.
We were kind of hoping to have a good day with the Olympic Festival in town, and it looks like now we're just going to put a sign in the window and tell people to come back later.
The massive power outage meant extra duty for police officers. And because some major feeder lines can serve up to 2,000 customers, the winds did quick damage. In White Bear Lake, the Gary and Polly Ratz family have been without power since 5:30 this morning, when the wind transplanted one of their trees.
Got the kids to the basement. After that, I heard the crash, came up and noticed my pine tree on my roof.
It's kind of exciting, you know. Kids were playing cards by candlelight at 6 this morning. I thought that was great.
Extra NSP crews have been on duty since before dawn, trying to get the power back on.
We had about 95,000 customers in the metro area without service. Most of those were in the Minneapolis service territory. Most of that service should be restored sometime this evening. However, where the damage is more extensive, it's going to take us more time to clear away debris and clear away trees that are in our way before we're able to put lines back up and restore that service.
So those overtime NSP crews are making a dent in all this, but at this hour, still, across the metro, 28,000 NSP customers are without electricity. NSP is hoping to have all those people having their electricity restored by midnight, but there is a very good chance that hundreds, perhaps even thousands of customers may not have power until sometime tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
No air conditioning.
Steamy weather right now, you see.
Yeah.
All right, John, thank you very much.
You bet.
Well, still to come here on Eyewitness News, we'll show you what that storm did when it whipped through Minnetonka at 4 a.m. this morning.
And we'll tell you the peculiar pattern of damage it left behind in White Bear Lake.
You can see the path it took. The storm hit Minnetonka at 4 a.m. and then whirled through Minneapolis. By 5:30, it was battering White Bear Lake. Well, in Minnetonka this afternoon, residents are still cleaning up the damage caused by heavy wind and heavy rain. Trees in this yard were literally pulled up by the roots. Near Hopkins, winds damaged this Tom Thumb sign, nearly tipping it over, and many power lines were knocked down. NSP crews are on the scene right now repairing the lines. They hope to have power restored to their customers by tonight.
And the tail end of that early morning storm gave the White Bear Lake area a good swat, too. The winds did an estimated $10,000 damage to the popular Village Inn restaurant. A roof on the existing building was damaged, and a wall of the new restaurant under construction next door was blown over. A few blocks away, the wind blew off a portion of the roof at the Willow Lane Elementary School. And just down the street a block, the Rupert Leibel home looked like a logging operation. The winds uprooted 8 trees, making a busy day for relatives and friends armed with chainsaws. What a mess out there, too.
Gee, we sure were lucky, weren't we?
Yes, a lot of folks were.
Our reporter, John Wingate.
People in the neighborhoods north of downtown told Trish Van Pilsum there were frightening moments and close calls.
Trees would almost lay on the ground. And right there and then I grabbed my camera. It's so devastating, you know. It's like a piece of a hurricane in South Carolina had just dropped it down inside Minneapolis, and then decided to go somewhere else, you know.
The most I've seen was, you know, trees that split from the top down or in half, broken over. But it's the first time I've seen them actually, you know, picked up from the roots, thrown over on people's houses, you know, all types of establishments, churches, out in the streets, you name it, people's cars.
We got out of bed at 5 o'clock, and by 5:15, when we was closing windows, it was really a rip snorter. I went upstairs and looked through the upstairs window, and I didn't see this tree here anymore, and I said, uh-oh, goodbye, Plymouth.
We lost part of our roof in the garage where the taxis are housed, and our neighborhood gas station here kind of has a severe tilt to its canopy at the moment, and down the street we got a VFW that lost most of its roof.
It seems like right through this area here, there's a lot of uprooted trees, wires down. Northeast, I know, got hit real bad. I guess when it comes to wires and trees down and everything like that, everything is kind of a major thing, you know, because people want their electricity back, and you're doing the best you can, you know. Somebody's got to be first, you know, somebody's got to be last.
Nobody got hurt, so that's the main thing.
White Bear Lake is another area hit hard by the early morning storm.
I got up this morning, walked outside, and what a surprise.
Most of the trees on this White Bear Lake block have been uprooted by high winds, especially the Colorado blue spruce trees. They're what the street is named after, Spruce Place. Residents say their neighborhood looks like a war zone with the smell of spruce permeating the air.
On our street, and I know that it's not going to be the same street.
NSP says it will be 2 to 3 days before power is restored in the area. NSP officials say up to 100,000 people in the Twin Cities area lost electrical service. At last check, about 29,000 customers are still without electricity tonight. No more major storms are forecast, and Matt will have the weather a little later.